Welcome, and thank you for joining us for this session, Creativity in the Classroom, Engaging Students in the Creative Process. My name is Amos Gutierrez, and I am a Learning Technology Specialist and Adobe Ambassador at Abilene Christian University in Abilene, Texas.
And I'm Dr. Marisa Beard, Director of Educational Technology and the Innovation Foundry at Abilene Christian University.
Have you ever heard someone say, "I'm not very creative, I can't draw"? It's a statement that I've heard on many occasions, and it is a mentality that I believe is more common than not. For many, creativity has become synonymous with artistic, but in reality, they are not the same. Being artistic is but one way that creativity manifests. An artist creates a work of art as a way of expressing their creativity. An inventor creates something that serves a specific purpose. A medical professional may create more effective procedures to tend to their patients. Across every occupation and industry, creativity has its place. While some people may inherently be more creative, it should not be surprising that creativity can also be learned by anyone. It is more than something we are or were born with, but something that we do over time. It is a process. Creativity is the process of taking our experiences and the information that we collect on a daily basis through our senses, what we see, what we smell, what we touch, hear, and taste, and repurposing this stored knowledge and experiences to create something that doesn't already exist in those forms. In his book, The Runaway Species, David Eagleman, an American neuroscientist, states, "The giant number of brain cells interposed between stimulus, which is the input in our brains, and action, the output, is a critical contributor to the massive creativity of our species. It is what allows us to consider possibilities beyond what is right in front of us. And that's a large part of the magic of human brains. We relentlessly simulate what ifs." So creativity is not necessarily about pulling new ideas out of thin air or coming up with something that has never been seen before, but using inspiration and imagination to not only envision something new, but act on it, moving from concept to concrete. In other words, in order to be creative, we must learn how to access the experiences that we have, see them in a different way, form a new idea, and act upon it, to create something, to move in a different direction, or to choose a better way. Learning to access the information stored within our brains and use them to create is something that takes practice and time. It is a process that requires sometimes overcoming challenges and barriers. Eagleman talks about the creative potential of human beings being something that is unique to us. He says, "Creatures throughout the animal kingdom run mostly on automated behavior. Mediated behaviors, as opposed to automated, involve thought and foresight. It involves seeking out new paths for innovative ideas. Humans live inside a competition between automated behavior, which reflects habits, and mediated behavior, which defeats habits. As Arthur Koestler said, creativity is the breaking of habits through originality. As humans that can easily operate on automated behaviors or habits, deviating from these behaviors can be uncomfortable. Therefore, the barriers that we need to overcome to reach our creative potential is often ourselves and our own comfort. We must force ourselves to defeat our habits that constrain us from progress and give ourselves permission to be imaginative and sometimes uncomfortable. Now that we have a better understanding of what creativity is, let's explore this important question. Why is creativity so important when it comes to education?
According to the 2019 and 2020 LinkedIn Workplace Learning Report, creativity was the single most in-demand soft skill for companies to cultivate in their employees. Creativity is a skill that employers want their employees to learn and grow in. What if our students graduated and entered the workforce already having creative skills? The Adobe Get Hired report analyzed 2 million resumes and 2 million job postings to determine how often a select group of common soft skills were included. Throughout 18 diverse career fields, the soft skills that were identified were communication, creativity, collaboration, creative problem solving, and critical thinking. As you can see from this infographic, there was a significant discrepancy between what is listed in a job posting and what applicants include on their resumes. For communication, there was a 49% gap between what employers want and what applicants include on their resumes. Creativity had a 26% gap, and collaboration had a 30% gap. Obviously, it is relevant that we give our students the creative experience necessary to assist them in securing their future career. What does this mean? What does an employer gain from having employees with creative skills? How can higher education institutions help students be prepared and close these skill gaps? According to an article, Why Soft Skills Matter, by Ashutosh Murthy, educational institutions need to design their curricula focusing on graduates' soft skills and their employability. Let's hear from Dr. Marisa Beard, Dean of the School of Nursing at Abilene Christian University, as she talks about the role of creativity within the field of nursing.
I'm Marisa Beard. I'm the Dean of the School of Nursing here at ACU. In nursing, there are a lot of policies and guidelines and what we call evidence-based practice that we teach students and that students and practicing nurses have to follow in order to provide best care to patients. There is a perception that there might not be room for creativity in nursing. However, if you think about it, creativity at its root is really part of problem solving. So we thought that it was really important to make sure that our students have some creative opportunities within the program. One of the reasons it's important for students to stay in touch with their creative side and be able to use that in problem solving is that in the profession of nursing, no two situations are the same. We work with a lot of principles and evidence-based guidelines with the way procedures and different skills and treatments are applied. But every patient is different, and to provide patient-centered care, which is what we teach our students to do, it will require some creativity from the students now and when they're future professional nurses in order to tailor that care to each patient.
By fostering creativity within courses across all educational departments, students not only gain valuable skills, but the misconception that creativity does not have a place outside of the arts is dismantled. Now that we know what creativity is and why it's important in regards to education and employability, how can you learn to be more creative?
As we stated before, David Eagleman in his book, The Runaway Species, details his findings on what makes humans so unique among species on this earth. He found that humans have the ability to be creative, and it's not just some humans, but all humans. He later produced a documentary titled The Creative Brain that was based on the research from his book. In the documentary, he describes what he believes to be the necessary steps of the creative process. So, how do we learn to be more creative? We must actively and regularly engage in the creative process. By doing so, we train our minds to see things differently, to see possibilities, and to act upon it. Before I go further into listing these steps, it's important to note that there are numerous versions of the creative process, but I chose this one because of its simplicity and its foundation in understanding how our brains work. The creative process begins by trying something new. To try new things, we are actively engaging in mediated behaviors that force us to draw together previous knowledge and experiences to make sense of the new experience that we're currently in. The second step of the creative process is to take risks. Similar to trying something new, taking risks draws us out of our comfort zones and forces us to seek a solution to our current circumstance. Perhaps the most significant barrier to these first two steps is the fear of failure. The fear of failure can be debilitating. It can stop us in our tracks, cause us to retreat, or take steps back in directions that we are most comfortable. The third step of this creative process addresses this. Simply put, don't fear failure. The fear of failure is real, especially within academia. The use of creative assignments adds a creativity component to the assignment. That creativity component should not replace knowledge and research, but it is used to help students communicate that information in more effective ways. So, how much of a grade should be focused on measuring creativity? If creativity is a large part of the grade, research may end up lacking. But if creativity is a very small part of the grade, students may opt to lose those creativity points. In fostering creativity, there needs to be a healthy boundary between success and failure in assignments. How can students approach an assignment with a willingness to take risks and possibly fail when their biggest concern is their final grade? This is really not an easy question to answer. As we engage in this process throughout our lives, we learn to be more creative. We try something we are uncertain of, and we may fail. But we must learn from our failures and find a new way. We keep trying until we succeed, until we have found a new solution, until we have created something. So what is Abilene Christian University doing to engage students in the creative process? How can faculty outside of the arts foster creativity in their courses? And what does this look like in practice?
Abilene Christian University purchased Adobe Creative Cloud in May of 2015 with a university rollout in fall of 2015. This was an exciting time for ACU because now all students, faculty, and staff had access to Adobe Creative Cloud, not just those in art and design and journalism and mass communications. It is important to indicate that although everyone had access to Creative Cloud, there was still the challenge of guiding faculty on how to include creative assignments in courses that did not normally have a creative component. In spring 2018, the ACU Innovation Foundry conducted a survey to see how Adobe software was being used on campus. Not including departments who regularly use Adobe software, such as art and design and journalism and mass communications, there were 21 other departments who participated in the survey. Of those, 15% of faculty responded that at least one Adobe Creative Cloud software was used either sometimes or regularly in their courses. It became clear in fall of 2018 that it would be helpful to have somebody on staff who could concentrate more heavily in promoting Adobe. Through various circumstances, we were able to hire Amos as our Adobe ambassador at ACU. Because we were able to have someone more committed to all of the Adobe products, we decided to write an Adobe Faculty Fellows proposal. We proposed that from spring 2019 to spring 2021, we would offer grants to support the integration of creative digital tools into the curriculum across a wide variety of disciplines. Student assignments in current ACU courses have been reinvented by faculty to require student creation of digital experiences that are now common in education and industry. Adobe agreed to apply matching funds to what the provost was able to provide, which allowed for 18 grants over a 2-year period. Participating faculty fellows come from various disciplines: agriculture and environmental sciences, biblical studies, biology, business, communications, information technology and computing, journalism and mass communications, nursing, and theater. In agriculture and environmental sciences, students used Adobe Illustrator to create posters on food labels, as well as using Adobe Premiere Rush to create videos about plastics and their environmental impact. In communications, students used Adobe XD to create a mobile app-like experience to explain and demonstrate conflict resolution theories in real-life conflicts. In nursing, students used Adobe Illustrator to create research posters based on their PICO questions and annotated bibliographies. We are currently in our third semester of the fellowship program, and we are gaining insightful feedback from our faculty fellows about the impact it has had on their students. We invite you to take some time to watch the Adobe Faculty Fellow reflection videos on our Adobe Faculty Fellows webpage. Among these videos, Dr. Dina Counts shares her experience of how she addressed the fear of failure dilemma, and Dr. Kenneth Pybus shares his class's experience of creating numerals based on a century-old font that originally did not have numerals. Although ACU is blessed to have a license to the Adobe Creative Cloud, we know that not all schools are able to provide high-end software to their students and faculty. Because of this, we would like to offer some alternative low-cost, open-source, or OS applications that are accessible. First, Adobe has a free product called Adobe Spark that can be used to create graphics, videos, and web pages. Google has products like Google Drawings, SketchUp, and Google Slides for creating diagrams, charts, 3D models, posters, and presentations. Microsoft PowerPoint can be used to create and design flyers and posters. Apple has products like iMovie and iWorks to create video projects, graphics, and presentations. Canva and Vector are web-based design softwares for creating raster graphics and vector graphics. GIMP is an open-source photo editing software, and Figma is a prototyping application that offers a free version. There are so many more options available. Do Google search for open source creative software and see what you can find.
Creativity plays an important role in our lives, both professionally and personally. It allows us to think differently, to discover more effective and efficient ways to work and serve others, to invent, to solve problems. It is not an easy task to engage in the creative process, to try something new, to take risks, and to not fear failure. But it is a worthy task and a needed task. Thank you again for joining us. If you have any questions, feel free to contact us at amos.gutierrez@acu.edu or marisa.beard@acu.edu.